Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show we have real estate entrepreneur, mortgage broker, hard money lender, investor out of San Diego, California, Trevor Gravink. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dylan. Pleasure to be here.
I always like to start off at the top of these by asking folks how they got into the real estate space.
My father did some investments when I was a child and just always kind of been interested in it. And then I was in the solar business. I started sending some of my clients over to a friend that was in the mortgage business, kind of learned what he was doing, found it a little bit easier than the solar business. At least that's what I thought at the time. And I decided to pivot from solar because of some hailstorms and hurricanes and stuff in Florida and some other places, and moved into the mortgage space about 7 years ago, and then got my real estate license as well about 5 years ago. So that's just kind of how I ended up here.
So I don't know if I'm getting the terms right, but you're a real estate agent and a RMLO. Is that the terms? Am I getting it right?
MLO, mortgage loan
MLO.
officer with an
Okay.
NMLS license, yeah.
Okay. I'm still newly licensed. I'm getting used to all the different terms, and I'm thinking, well,
Yeah.
I really want to be an investor, right? Do I need all these things? And so one of the things that I found intriguing, which I'm sure you can relate to this, is as an agent, being an agent does handicap you a little bit when it comes to being an investor. But at the same point in time, I'm still going to ride out this real estate agent thing because it's opened so many doors for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to tell people that you're an agent, and that might make some people believe that maybe you're taking advantage of them when you're coming in and offering a lower price or something like that. But at the end of the day, like you said, I believe the connections are worth it. And if you can come in and genuinely talk to people and find out, what their needs and wants are, and just kind of explain what you do, you can still overcome it. But at the end of the day, there's just some people that, you never will be able to get that business, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about going from, you mentioned solar. I did solar. I don't know if you were in the same the same job description. I was just door to door, right? And so I have a lot of respect for anybody who came from that field. What was your job in solar like?
So I was managing a door-to-door team, as well as we had a call center, and then we would set appointments for guys to go in the house. So I did the calls, I did the door-to-door, and I went inside the house just to be able to kind of see the different moving parts of each and every piece and being able to train people on it. So we had a little small sales organization, and then the contractor would actually do the install. So they would just give us like a base price, and then we would sell up and above that.
There's nothing like that type of sales environment. There's nothing like it. I mean, I've done other type of sales. I was in car sales for about 4 or 5 years, and there's just nothing. I have the utmost respect. I couldn't cut the mustard in the solar game. And people who do, as you know, Trevor, there's just some absolute naturals, like just absolute naturals. And those are the people that are getting deals done.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some interesting experiences knocking on people's doors, or being in people's houses and, just animals and all sorts of things that you would go and walk into. But definitely learned a lot and all the different aspects of sales. So I think it just moved me forward in understanding, because there's a lot of financing in that as well, and a lot of numbers. So it kind of helped with transitioning over to the mortgage side.
What caught my attention about what you're doing now is, as an investor and a lender and a mortgage broker, there's a lot there, right? But they're all interrelated. And honestly, maybe I've had one, but I can't think of any off the top of my head that is involved in these spaces, right? I've seen a lot of people who do maybe real estate agent and investor, but agent, lender, and investor and active in all three. This is a very unique niche. How do you really decide, and how did you decide where to divvy your time and where to focus your energy?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, so most of my energy is in the mortgage business, and then I got my real estate agent license, because I wanted my broker license for myself to be able to broker loans out as well. So on the agent side with my license, mostly friends, family, or people that just come to me from a referral basis. I'm not truly trying to go out and show homes or list homes. If they come my way, I do, but most of it is the mortgage side of the business. And then, on the investment side, it's just a matter of, I see deals all over the country because I'm licensed in many different states. So I start to see trends of, there's 4 unit properties in Pennsylvania that are paying this much in rents and they're picking them up for, 250, 300,000. So I do a little bit more research, figure out who their agent is. Are they bringing them the property? And I talk to that person and then see, hey, can you bring some properties in front of me that I can potentially invest into? So it really opens the doors of being able to see deals and where people are making them on the short-term side and long-term side.
Now, how much of your business is working with investors?
So now probably about 80%. I had to pivot obviously after rates went up. And so I heavily invested my time into learning products for investors. I, learned very quickly that they're not rate sensitive, they're cash flow sensitive. So immediately once I kind of just started talking to some and realizing that I'm not teaching people all the different steps of buying a home and all the different costs and selling points and all these things, that I was now having business conversations versus like emotional conversations about people falling in love and falling out of
Yeah.
love with homes. It was more just, does this property cash flow? What rents will it bring in? Trevor, how many points are you charging me? What's my rate? So those are the conversations. I was just like, oh, this is just so much, in my opinion, easier. Sometimes the deals are tougher just because they're structured a lot differently. But the borrowers themselves, a lot of times, are a little bit, they understand the loan process. So when I ask them for something, they just hand it over. They're not asking, like, why do you need this document and that document? So that's really when I decided to go pretty much all in on investors.
I think, folks that are in your position, mortgage brokers, and then people who are real estate agents, oftentimes it's very rare, I would say. I can't speak in every scenario in every state, but certainly in my limited experience, most people who go into being a broker, a real estate agent, into this space in general are not going in immediately with the idea to work with investors. I felt like I was one of the rare few who was really, I'm more passionate about real estate investing than I am about selling homes. And if I sell a few homes along the way, then great. But I think it is a super niche space for the most part. And I also think that the more people that are educated on the investment side of things, the better it is for everybody. Because, like, everyone, when you buy a home, in my mind, you're a real estate investor. Like, this is a massive investment. So if you've made that purchase, you've got to figure out a way to maximize it because at some point in time, you're going to sell too.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the investor side, like somebody that's new or newer like yourself, or maybe you haven't worked with investors, you're almost scared that they know more than you. So you feel like you're not going to be able to answer their questions. So I think a lot of people are just nervous in talking to investors because they maybe think that they know more than what they actually have the knowledge of. And then on the other side of it, I think some agents or loan officers get annoyed of the lowball offers or what they call lowball offers. So keep submitting things and it's work that you're doing and not getting paid for because we're not hourly people, right? We work on commission. So I
Yeah.
think that's another reason why some people don't like working with investors. But for me, the average homeowner is going to buy a home and then they might refinance every 3 to 5 years. With an investor, some of these guys are doing, 3 to 5 deals in a year. So it's just worth the time to be able to do that. And then if somebody is, potentially truly wasting my time, at some point maybe you have to fire them as a client or say, hey, your offers are just not realistic unless you kind of increase them. I can't work with you.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% everyone's prerogative. And I'm the one that's making the low offers. So, as an agent investor, I'm out here making the low offers and of course you know this being an agent, unless the receiving realtor, the listing agent has it in writing from their client that they don't want to receive any law offers below a certain amount, they are basically bound to present that offer to their client. So my perspective is like, look, there's a bunch of properties that are on market that are sitting. I'm going to make an offer. I don't know if they're getting offers, but I'm going to make an offer on it. And before I was an agent, the mentor that I had who I got this strategy from, I saw him making, 80 offers, 60 offers a month and getting, one or maybe one every other month, which occurred to me like it really just is a numbers game. And I think there's a lot of investors that look at it like that. And then, to your point, Trevor, there's also just, and this is me just being completely honest, there's also a lot of investors just with a big ego, right? They think there's not too many people doing what I'm doing. My time is super valuable. And also I'm not going to, burden myself by having to explain what I'm doing to other people. But really, I think, if someone comes across someone like that and they're just hard to deal with, like you said, like you can fire your investor client and they can find someone else.
I mean, it's kind of just like sales, right? Some of it is luck and timing, and then some of it is because you're consistently doing things. So you're putting in all these offers. Maybe this person's gotten a lot of offers, but finally they're at the point where they're just so tired of having their house on the market that
Yeah.
you put it in at the right time. And now because you have that offer and they're willing to go there, or some life event happened, and now they were thinking about selling and they were 80% there, and then all of a sudden now they're 100% because of a medical issue or something else that they have to be able to deal with. So it's just a matter of like you said, consistently doing things and you will run into deals, because one, sometimes people will just be already at that place, and sometimes I believe it's just a little bit of luck, but you can only get lucky if you're actually putting in the offers.
That's exactly right. You're not going to get lucky if you're not trying, if you're not shooting the ball. Before we hopped on here, you mentioned DSCR loans, and I've heard this before, and we've talked about it before. But to folks who may not know, what's a DSCR loan?
So it's debt service coverage ratio, and this can be for uh, properties 1 to 4 units, single family residential side. There is commercial loans like this, which would be anything 5 plus. But for the typical investor that's doing 1 to 4, this is a loan where the lender does not care about your personal income or personal debt to income ratio. What they actually just care about is the rents that that property will most likely produce or are producing on the current lease. As long as it's equal to or greater than the housing payment, which would be principal, interest, property taxes, insurance, and any association dues, they will loan on that property. Typical down payments would be about 20%. And then it just kind of depends from there on your credit score, what you'd actually qualify for. And some lenders will go below 1, meaning that the actual rents coming in could be less than the housing payment. But typically that would be like on a short-term rental where the investor believes, hey, I'm going to run this property better than what they think this is actually going to rent for. So the investor's willing to potentially take a loss monthly and make up that payment, or they feel like they can just manage it better than what they're projecting.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Now, I've seen now a lot of lenders with the DSCR loans, and I think it's great because it's almost like something in my mind that an investor came up with. You know, someone who's able to write off all their income. So on their tax return, they show either no money or very little money, right? And then how do you get loans in that situation if you've already got several houses out, right? Well, you get a DSCR loan. Do you know how long these loans have been around for? Have they recently been popular? I've been seeing them now with a lot of lenders.
So they've been out for multiple years now, but there's more and more lenders that are jumping in as they see a lot of business picking up in that category. I feel like then they say, okay, well, how do we, find the back end investors that's going to buy this paper? Because at the end of the day, that's what you have to have is the underwriting guidelines. And then when you package these mortgages up and resell them to Wall Street, do you have those back end investors? So there's more and more banks that have gotten into it for sure. My recommendation is, you know, to do your research and figure out have they been doing DSCR loans just recently or for years, because the ones that are newer, they usually tend to be less risk aversive, meaning that their underwriting guidelines are going to be a lot more strict than somebody that's been doing a lot of DSCR loans. The unique thing is that these types of loans, they can have exceptions. Like with an FHA loan, it's black and white. DTI, all these things are black and white. With non-QM or DSCR loans, there can be exceptions made if you can make a case of why the lender should still loan on this property. And they may overlook, a certain factor with the loan that typically would get denied. But you're only going to get that if you're working with lenders that have been doing DSCR loans for a while.
You mentioned before hopping on here, Trevor, that you also do construction loans or hard money loans. You know, it's not your main business, but you've done them in the past. I think it's great. I think we need more people like that because ideally, someone who's an investor would be able to go to one person or one source and say, hey, look, this property is rental grade. It's going to qualify. I need a traditional, or this is a heavy rehab and I'm going to need a hard money loan. And I want to be able to go to the same group of people instead of having multiple people. Was that kind of the idea going into it, or just happened to be the case where you fell into it?
So, I started when I started working with investors, one day they need a DSCR loan, the next day they're doing a fix and flip, right? And so then just learning about that, calling up, essentially there's account executives at every lender, so you just call them up. Hopefully you get somebody that's super knowledgeable that can point you in the right direction. And then also just partnering up with other mortgage brokers that have done fix and flip loans and saying, hey, I have this deal, how can we share in on this and teach each other how to be able, maybe I can help you out with your next DSCR loan or whatever it is. And just, swallowing my ego, making sure that I'm asking the right questions, maybe doing a three-way call with somebody that is an expert on a commercial loan or a ground up construction or whatever it is. And then I'm just learning it from beginning to end. So I think that's really just what it comes down to, is being willing to learn about new products and then taking the time to be able to do them and look at the guidelines. And it's a struggle at the beginning sometimes, but then like you said, the person just comes to you for everything, right? Because
Yeah.
if one day they leave me for a fix and flip loan, that person's like, I do DSCR loans too. I do ground up, and now I'm competing with some other broker.
Yeah, very few. I mean, truthfully, there may be one other. I just can't think of anybody that does the the things that you're doing, talking about traditional, talking about hard money. You're also involved as an investor yourself. I think we need more people like that. I think we need more investor agents. I just think we need more people involved in investing in general, because if not, you have a lot of people and a populace that is relatively in the dark, just like I was. When I first got into real estate, I had no idea about anything. I didn't have family in the business. I was working for Nissan, and I just felt like, how am I ever going to own a house? I felt like I needed a blood sample to get a car loan, let alone a note for my home, right? So, and I was working in the car business. So I was like, if it's this hard for me, how hard is it going to be for everyone else? So I think about all these things, and I'm curious to get your perspective on this, Trevor. If someone is a first-time investor, and they're looking at the different ways that they could get involved in investing, and you're putting yourself in their shoes, and they're thinking, do I go short-term rental like Airbnb? Do I go mid-term, maybe corporate housing? Do I buy a duplex, multifamily? Do I go long-term, annual leases? Do I do real estate wholesale? What would be your first move if you were a new real estate investor?
My first move before deciding what type of property that I would get into is to find a mentor that's already investing and say, hey, this is what I want to be able to do. And maybe if you do want to get into multifamily, then you find an investor that's done a lot of multifamily and you say, hey, how can I help you find your next property? And when I bring this to you, how do you look at this property? How are you analyzing it before you purchase it? And I would just put in some sweat equity with them and maybe say, if you have money, I have 50, 100, 200,000 in my retirement that I want to invest. Can we buy the next property together? Or if I do find one, would you review it with me? So that would be my strategy, is maybe figure out if you want to do short term, long term, multifamily. I think they can all be profitable if done correctly. And I think the only way that you can do it correctly is by, finding somebody that's already doing what you want to be doing and doing it successfully. Just because there's so many different pitfalls that can come along the way, that no matter how many books you read, how much time you put into chat GPT, podcasts you listen to, or other things, there's going to be different things that happen with your property or your loan that might be unique. I've done so many loans and they look straightforward and they're almost always something unique about them. So you want somebody there that, has maybe already been there, done that. That would be my suggestion.
Trevor, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is RE for real estate, and then brokerbuddy.com. So rebrokerbuddy.com. And then it's the same thing. I have a YouTube channel as well that gets into DSCR loans, explaining them both for the long-term and short-term side, and some other stuff about mortgage. And the channel name is also RE Broker Buddy, and they can go there as well. And on my website is my phone number and email, and you can reach out to me at any time.
Trevor, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.